With Blue Link Plus, you can access your Hyundai Tucson Limited remotely. Doors unlocked, temperature set, lost car found.
There it is.
Get complimentary class-leading Blue Link Plus. Call 562-314-4603 for complete details.
The following is a GoPowerCat.com and Spirit Street production. You've discovered your link to GoPowerCat.com's PowerCat Questions podcast, presented by Fridge Wholesale Liquor, and it starts right now. Now, let's go to the WTC Gig-Powered Studios. Here's your host, GoPowerCat.com publisher, Tim Fitzgerald.
Welcome to another edition of your PowerCat Questions podcast. You ask, we answer. You ask at Wabash Station, and we try to answer here. It's funny, as this basketball season has gone forth, the number of questions has plummeted. I wonder why.
I don't think there's a lot of ways you can say, how bad are they?
I know. It's painful. Tim Fitzgerald, Relegates, Zach Carlson in the WTC Gig-Powered Studios here in downtown Manhattan. A busy schedule here at the World Headquarters. We're sneaking this in now, and then Justin Hughes stops in for a power chat. I'm looking forward to that, and then we'll go ahead and record the overtime for Friday here at this site. So we're packing it all into one day before we all travel to Lubbock.
Right.
We're all going to get on the GPC jetliner and go to Lubbock.
Even if you were flying us.
Yeah.
Even if it was a chartered direct flight.
Even if that flight landed 4 feet outside of U.S. Supermarkets Arena.
It's that bad right now with K-State basketball. Is there hope for the Cats? That's the question we will answer in 17 different varieties of questions today on this podcast. We're brought to you by The Fridge. No time is more appropriate for The Fridge than when you talk about Kansas State basketball. On track for the worst season, the most losingest season in Kansas State basketball history. More losses than any team before can be attained. Why settle for second to last when last is available?
Got to give it to people. 9th place was, in fact, inaccurate.
Wow. I mean, even the coaches who doubted K-State and pissed off everyone in purple were wrong because they were too positive. It still could be attainable. 9th place is out there. For a team that really achieves, they can get 9th place.
You know what doesn't suck?
What?
Tanners.
Tanners doesn't suck at all. I got to get into Tanners.
If you guys are on Twitter, you should follow Tanners because they've started being a lot more active on their social media. And they
have a Snapchat now, too.
Say what?
They're going to Snapchat out specials and, like, flash things.
They're going to flash things on Snapchat?
A flash special, not a wiener.
Sounds like they understand what...
Man, maybe they should save that for only, like, hot dog specials.
I was going to say.
Sounds like they understand what Snapchat's all about.
Yeah. So, and by the way, Tanners has a big announcement. It's not official yet, so I'm breaking this scoop right here on the podcast. They will not be participating in Fake Patty's Day this year.
What?
It's during the tournament. So they are going to reserve their bar for people that actually want to watch basketball. And you will be asked to leave if you get too Fake Patty Day-ish in their place.
I don't know how you're going to get to the door, but if you can get to the door, it sounds great.
Your green stuff will have Baylor on it. We're Scott Drew fans.
Tanners gets their booze from The Fridge. Why don't use?
Sure.
Sometimes I just go too far with it.
Yeah, we'll take it.
Okay, let's get to our questions from Wabash Station. Let's rip the Band-Aid off and turn it over to Zach.
From KS Rocks, I don't think you've asked a question before. Welcome to the podcast. It is clear that the motion offense is too complex for most players, and certainly for this group. What should give us hope that the incoming players will be able to execute the offense at even a reasonable level next year?
I think you got to hope. Well, I mean, not number one, they're all way better shooters. I feel confident that all 4 incoming players, I'll say 3. I'll take Davian out of it because he's not a shooter. 3 of those incoming players are better shooters than all but like 1 player on this team, maybe.
I'd agree.
Probably all players. They're good shooters. They're really good shooters. And frankly, I think if they get in there and they get after the defensive, they learn the defense quick enough, they can get into that transition offense and play a lot quicker and smoother, which is clearly what they need to do.
This is my problem with the motion offense that Bruce runs. When he has veteran players, he's still shouting directions. If they don't know what they're doing and they're veterans, why are you running an offense so complex? It reminds me of a defensive coordinator that runs such complex things that his guys aren't playing fast or getting to the right spots. But boy, it's complex. It's going to fool the offense, and it fools his own players in the process. I kind of feel that's the way K-State's offense runs. It is a little bit too nuanced for your college player. I think KS Rocks has nailed it. And this team's really good when they get in transition and they play with some rhythm and get comfortable. And that's been true for a number of years, and I think it'll be really true next year with the true point guard and some guys that can get out and run. Bruce will say that he wants to run and then scream at them to slow down in the game. It's the darndest thing I've ever seen. But traditionally, when this team gets flowing with the open court and they get to the rim easily, that helps them in the half court. It gives them confidence. It takes pressure off them that they need to. They get in this thing where they go down the court and it's like, we haven't scored in 5 minutes. Now we need to score. And they're just so tense. Getting in the open court, getting some easy baskets really relaxes this team.
From K-Ned, how far back in time will K-State and Texas set basketball offense on Saturday?
I'm hoping they wear really short shorts. Not the kind we remember from the 80s, but the 1950s shorts. Like, they're basically baggy Speedos.
It's going to be a disaster, man. This might rival. Look, it can't beat the Oklahoma State game. That game was pitiful, but it can rival it.
But they covered it up by scoring a bunch of points late.
That's true.
The final score didn't look bad.
Texas hasn't scored 60 points in its last 4 games.
Okay.
And it hasn't scored. It's scored 70 points one time in its last 9.
Oh God. Do K-State.
I'm getting to K-State. Okay. K-State has not scored 70 points since the Alabama game, which they lost. And that is the only time that they have scored 70 points in the last... Oh, Christ. That's all of conference play. No, West Virginia, sorry. West Virginia and Alabama are the only 2 games since Big 12 play has started that K-State has put up 70 points.
That seems bad.
Holy goodness.
It could be like that Texas K-State game a few years ago where K-State made 15 field goals, 3 of which were goaltends.
That's right. What year was that? Was that 16?
16, I think.
Oh, my goodness,
15.
That was horrible.
No, it was 15, I think.
Well, it would have been 16.
14, 15, or 15, 16.
Okay. I think it was 14, 15.
Yeah.
Sounds like something I witnessed in high school.
The good news is that following this week's games against Tech and Texas, there will only be 4 regular season games left. Oh, my God.
Honestly, on a serious note, this game is really telling for me because Texas is the only thing as close to a dumpster fire as K-State is right now.
Yeah.
Even Oklahoma State is picking it up a lot right now.
Oh, yeah. They just beat Tech.
So
it will turn around and beat the snot out of K-State to feel better about itself.
Right. That'll be fun. So, I mean, look, if you come out against Texas on Saturday and you just lay an egg, you're flat, you don't compete, if you go through another 5-minute scoring drought, dude, that's bad. Because this is, in my opinion, the easiest game left on the schedule.
Also from K-Ned, is it normal for players to log so many in-season pickup game minutes at the Rec, and was this the case last year?
You want to crack at it first? You want me to crack at it first?
This is from Ryan Gilbert, student, does a great podcast, sat in on the Insiders yesterday to fill in for Kellis, and he said that he has seen and played with veteran players at the Rec in season this year. I've never heard of it.
I got a Snapchat from a friend that played against Xavier in a pickup game a couple weeks ago.
What the hell is going on in the basketball program? How is this even taking place? I mean, how do the coaches not realize their guys are out there playing at the Rec in season? Instead of being in the ice facility working on their game, they're out screwing around with...
Is beating someone like me who went to the Rec and played pickup ball in college, is that what you need right now to build your self-esteem?
That might be what they're doing, just to feel better about themselves. You got to beat someone. This is... Look, you know what? There's a lot of things that happen during the course of a season where you're like, this, I really question the coaching staff. How is this going on? Do you not have any tabs on your guys? Are you so unplugged from what's going on? Do none of your managers or trainers or student assistants on this staff rat them out?
From the end of the season to the start of practices in the fall, I don't give two you-know-whats, who you're playing, where you're playing, what you're doing. If you're playing basketball, that's good enough for me. Trying to stand it. Now, you're not really pushing yourself that hard, but at least you're getting shots up and playing against someone competitively. In the middle of Big 12 play, when you're 2-10 overall in the when you are 2-10 in the conference, you feel the need to go to the Rec and play 20-year-olds.
Unbelievable.
So I have two questions. Number one, do the coaches know? And if they don't know, how do they not know? Because like you just detailed, how has somebody not gone to – how has this not gotten out? How has it not reached the coaches and said, wow, the Division I basketball players are not in the multi-million-dollar facility getting better. They're at the Rec playing kids. Or two, do the coaches know? And if the coaches know, why are they okay with that? It takes one wrong twist of the ankle, landing of the knee, for Xavier Sneed to have a torn ACL because he was playing a 19-year-old kid that just got out of his math class.
Man. So much for being worn out by the length of the season. And what great leadership from your veterans.
I don't get it.
This program's a wreck right now. A wreck. And next year better get it going real quick.
From Adam K63, is Weber maybe too loyal to a fault to some staff members to promote them from within?
Yes, to answer that part of the question,
I think he's loyal to a fault, period. It's
absolutely.
Not about a staff member.
I think Jermaine Henderson has done an okay job on the recruiting trail, but there's no reason Jermaine Henderson should have been the hire this year or this last cycle.
Well, I disagree now because he's actually very active on the recruiting trail, done a better job than who he replaced.
Sorry, maybe that came out wrong. I think he's done a good job. I think they could have made a better hire, a more splash hire that did them better in terms of recruiting.
Right.
I think they could have got a younger guy.
I understand wanting people but and sometimes it's like being loyal. Sometimes that's all you can hire. And sometimes it's just out of insecurity. It just seems like I don't want to bring in someone I don't know because they don't know me. And it starts to feel that way. Brad Korn, I'm not understanding who he's recruiting or who he's closing on. I don't understand what progress the big men are making. I mean, the thing is, we can complain about it, but as the question nails, no change is going to be made. There's too much loyalty there. But you can argue that he's also loyal to longtime players or even players. He didn't kick Marcus Foster off. He kept him around. It poisoned the entire locker room. He had big problems, with another player this year and kept him around. Looks like it's straightened out now, so maybe that paid off. But maybe there should have been more consequences to the behavior instead of just trying to let itself work out. And maybe it was solved in a more appropriate, more profitable manner. I mean, just because now Cardiajada is playing better basketball, they're not winning. I mean, it's still a losing team. So I don't know. I appreciate being loyal, but, man, you can't just let someone drag you down.
And that's been a topic of conversation on the boards recently. You know, what is Brad Korn doing? And he's been kind of the guy that people have really targeted at, I guess, because of the lack of development by the bigs. For me, basketball assistant coaches aren't as easy to say hire and fire as a football coach is. You know, offense sits in 10th place in the Big 12 for 5 years, let's say. Yeah, Courtney Messingham absolutely is the problem, needs to go. That is easy. Basketball's a little bit, you know, it's not, yes, Brad Korn coaches the bigs mainly, but it's not like Jermaine Henderson and Chris Lowry and Bruce Weber have never gone to a big man and said, you are doing this, you need to do that. You know, they coach all positions on the floor. So it's tougher for me to sit here and say Brad Korn is the absolute reason that the bigs aren't developing. But there probably needs to be a fall guy of somebody. There needs to be somebody held responsible. But here's the thing. It's not going to happen. Brad Korn's been here since Alvin Brooks left. The bigs have been what they've been. And he's not going to be fired. Nobody on this staff's going to be fired unless Bruce Weber is fired. So it's pretty much that simple.
Yeah.
Also from Adam K63, do you think this year's basketball team misses an assistant like Chester Frazier?
No, I don't. Chester got by on some early recruiting, and then look, people.
Chester was defense.
Yeah, look at this roster, man. You've got 5 veterans that are contributing over a 3-year recruiting period. Nobody was recruiting well for 3 years. They got a couple dudes. And they're not, as we found out, they're not lead guys. They're supporting players.
Chester nailed Barry Brown. Chester nailed Kamal Stokes. But Chester whiffed on a lot more players than he nailed.
All right. And then after that big 3.
So in terms of recruiting, I don't really think you're losing anything. I mean, if you want to make the argument, recruiting has actually gone up since Chester Frazier left, as odd as that is to say.
Oh, absolutely.
And in terms of on the floor, like I said, he was a defensive coach. Chester wasn't an offensive-minded player. He didn't play for Bruce because he dropped 18 points, 20 points a game, and was an offensive explosion. He played for Bruce because he got after it on defense. And that's what he brought to the floor for K-State from a coaching standpoint. Well, the offense is the struggle, not the defense right now. So they're really not, I can't really point to one thing about this team and say they're missing Chester. If only Chester was here.
They're having some issues on defense right now, but it's because they haven't been in the system as a group for years. I mean, you can't compare this year's defense to last year's. A bunch of guys that have played in the system and can do it in their sleep. That's just not fair. They've actually been better on defense than what I thought they would be, and next year will continue to be a struggle. Also defensively, because there's a lot of nuance to how they defend, and when it works, it's beautiful. It's easier to understand than the offense, I'll say that.
Last question of the first half from Fervent Purple. Do you think the men's basketball team will win another game this season?
Texas is it for me. I think Iowa State has reinvented itself into a freewheeling three-point shooting nightmare that could just destroy K-State. If Iowa State comes in and plays anywhere near what they did at Kansas, they will knock K-State out so fast it'll be over at halftime.
I got asked this question on the radio this morning. I have a hard time looking at a 6-game slate and saying there's no way they win any of them. Mm-hmm. Law of averages, right? But I'm a lot closer to saying they won't win another game than I am to saying that they'll win 2 games.
Oh, yeah.
So they're absolutely not.
Are you looking at the schedule?
Yeah.
Read it.
At Texas Tech on Wednesday. Home against Texas on Saturday.
Hopefully a win.
At Baylor.
Loss.
Home against KU.
Loss.
At Oklahoma State.
Probably a loss.
Home against Iowa State. Mm-hmm. The thing with so Oklahoma State, they beat you. They're playing better. But they're also a team that I could see going 20% from the floor in the first half in K-State. You know, I can't answer the question flat out.
Oklahoma State could turn south real fast.
Right. And so there's some games there that I look at and say, yeah, they could win them. But every single game on the schedule, I also look at and I say, they can lose that. I think they're going to get throttled on Wednesday. Texas Tech just lost to the second worst team in the conference by record. They're going to be pissed off. They just see what they did to, who'd they beat by 40 earlier this year? Texas, that's who it was, I think. Like 46 points or something like that. They're going to be mad. They're going to throttle K-State. They're going to lose that one. The thing with it, honestly, like Fitz said, it comes down to the Texas game. Because you can lose by 30 on Wednesday, and it's not really going to be unexpected. They're a much better team than you are. But if you lose to Texas, who is not a much worse team than you are, you're on the same playing field, really, I think. You're looking at 7 straight losses. Then you play Baylor and Waco. Then you come home against KU. That's 9 straight losses. And you are defeated. This team has quit. I mean, they have. Yes, they're going to go out. They're going to play. They're going to try to win. But they don't care. They know they're not going to the NIT. They know they're not going to the NCAA tournament. Everything that we yelled out about Cartier-Jada earlier this year, about his body language on the floor, going to the bench, that started to trickle over a little bit. Now, I think it's a little bit different situations. I think for a lot of the other players, it's just losing. But they're down. They don't care anymore. And if you're riding 9 straight losses into Stillwater, I don't see it.
K-State should win Saturday against Texas in Manhattan. Will it happen? Maybe not. I mean, I'm not confident of that at all. They should be able to compete with a depleted Iowa State team. Will that happen? I'm not confident in that at all either. That's the thing is, I would like to sit here and say K-State will indeed win another game this season, but the team itself is giving me nothing to believe that will happen. There's nothing here that says to me, oh, they're turning the corner. They're ready to break loose and get going. Maybe we'll see that at Tech. Maybe we'll see that Saturday against Texas. I don't know. But give me something. Give me something to believe in before I come to bat for you. And if not, at least you'll be able to hang that jersey up at the rec.
Stay locked in. The PowerCat podcast will be right back.
Life as a parent is nonstop. I'm so focused on keeping my family healthy that I barely have time to take care of myself. If this sounds like you, then you need to give Symbiotica a try. Symbiotica is a health and wellness company that empowers individuals to take ownership of their health with high-quality formulas and supplements crafted to boost energy, immunity, gut health, and more. Symbiotica supplements are made with clean, natural ingredients, and they don't contain any toxins or artificial ingredients. Because they were designed for us, busy parents. They're quick and easy to take. Just a daily dose for your energy, immune system, and overall well-being. It's made staying consistent so much easier. And the best part? Symbiotica is having their holiday sale, so now's the perfect time to put your health in the driver's seat. Head to Symbiotica.com for 20% off with code GIFT20. That's CYMBIOTIKA.com with code GIFT20 for 20% off. Your health transformation journey starts now. Symbiotica Natural and Organic Supplements.
The NFL regular season is wrapping up, but there's still time to get in on the action with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets guaranteed when you place a $5 bet. That's $150 in bonus bets, win or lose. The app is so easy to use, and there are so many different ways to bet, like live same-game parlays. Find bets in the new Explore tab. Make a parlay in the Parlay Hub, the best way to find popular parlays, and more. So visit FanDuel.com/247 and make your first bet a layup. FanDuel, official partner of the NFL.
Must be 21 plus and present in Arizona, Colorado, Connecticut, Iowa, Illinois, Indiana, Kansas, Kentucky, Louisiana, permitted parishes only, Massachusetts, Maryland, Michigan, New Jersey, New York, Ohio, Pennsylvania, Tennessee, Virginia, West Virginia, or Wyoming. FanDuel is offering online sports wagering in Kansas under an agreement with Kansas Star Casino, LLC. First online real money wager only. $10 first deposit required. Bonus issued as non-withdrawable bonus bets that expire 7 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit fanduel.com ksgamblinghelp.com/RG in Colorado, Iowa, Michigan, New Jersey, Ohio, Pennsylvania, Illinois, Kentucky, Tennessee, and Virginia. Call 1-800-NEXT-STEP or text NEXT-STEP to 53342 in Arizona, 1-888-789-7777, or visit ccpg.org/chat in Connecticut, 1-800-9-WITH-IT in Indiana, 1-800-522-4700, or visit ksgamblinghelp.com in Kansas, 1-877-770-STOP in Louisiana. Visit mdgamblinghelp.org in Maryland. Visit 1-800-GAMBLER.net in West Virginia, or call 1-800-522-4700 in Wyoming. Hope is here. Visit gamblinghelplinema.org or call 800-327-5050 for 24/7 support in Massachusetts, or call 1-877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY in New York, or visit oasas.ny.gov/gambling. Standard text messaging rates apply. Sports betting is void in Georgia, Hawaii, Utah, and other states where prohibited.
We now send it back to Fitz in the WTC gig-powered studios.
Welcome back to the PowerCat podcast. Wow, we're off to a fast but furious start in this edition of Your Questions podcast, sponsored by The Fridge. Get into The Fridge for all of your party needs. They're at the corner of Westport and Claflin in Manhattan.
Yeah.
Thank you. Dramatic pause.
Did you see somebody posted this week or last week that there actually is a corner of this and that?
That was unbelievable.
Amazing.
The corner of this and that.
It's not Manhattan.
This way and that way.
But it is there.
I appreciate the town that did that. Has a corner of this way and that way. Can you imagine giving those directions, though? Hey, yeah, just go down to this way, and then you take a left on that way. Nobody would believe you.
Yeah, you'd be like, all right, no need to be rude about it, sir.
No, that's really the street. Get into The Fridge whenever you're in Manhattan. If you're already in Manhattan, why aren't you just there right now? I actually drove by The Fridge, and the parking lot was full at 8:58, and the sign said, "We don't open until 9." I fear there are people waiting for The Fridge to open.
That's good for them, though. I mean, nobody needs to be buying alcohol at before 9 in the morning.
Man. Well, it's also the law. Get into The Fridge, whether you need it or not. There's some good advertising. The segment's brought to you by the High-Low. We made it into the High-Low last week to eat.
Oh, so good.
Riley had 17 slices of pizza. It was a little strange to watch.
We figured out the system for eating. If you want multiple slices, if you go to the High-Low and you're like, oh, I want a couple slices. I don't really know what I want.
Let's put some context in it. If you've never been to the High-Low, a slice is roughly the size of Zach's head, and Zach's head's ginormous.
These are huge pieces of pizza. And if you order a piece of pizza off of their menu, you know, where they have like the Big Apple, they have the mac and cheese, like all those pizzas, you're not going to be able to eat 2 slices of those. I'm telling you right now.
Not even me.
You can't do it. But if you're like, I really want 2 slices of pizza, you go light. You get a normal pepperoni, and you get a cheese. That's what I did. A normal pepperoni and normal cheese, and I was able to finish 2 of them.
Are you a cheese pizza guy?
Yeah.
I've never been a cheese pizza person.
I'm big into it because of Lent.
Oh. Have you ever eaten pizza with lint on it? Which would be weird, like you warmed it up in the dryer?
I've eaten Domino's before.
Oh, woo! I had a burger. I had the Royale with cheese, a double.
You know why they call it a Royale with cheese? What a great name for a sandwich, man.
Oh, man, it was so good. Get into the High-Low. It was kind of a mashup of Christmas and Valentine's Day in there. They still got the Christmas lights up, but Valentine's Day stuff up.
Kind of like it.
Nothing says Valentine's Day like taking your girl to Aggieville.
Yeah.
Nothing says Valentine's Day like not having a girl. Shout out to my co-hosts. Here we go. Your questions from Wabash Station.
From Lady Cat in Texas, what is your opinion of the overall state of K-State athletics? Every program combined in your assessment.
That's good. Thank you, Lady Cat.
I mean, look, K-State's not a athletic department, athletic program, however you want to say it, that's going to be consistently winning Big 12 championships. That's not the bar. But if you point to every program, I don't think you can point to any program, even the men's basketball team right now, and say program is in shambles. You know? Yeah, the basketball team's in a rough place. They need to get back on track, but at least they are recruiting better, and at least you have some positive momentum that way. They have won some conference championships. I think K-State's right where it needs to be. I think you need a little bit more success in some other sports. You know, for all the fun men's basketball and football have brought, the other sports really haven't brought it. You know, women's basketball has been to the tournament 3 out of 5 years, I think, but haven't really been to the Sweet 16. Baseball's pretty rough, I guess, but
no.
At least you're building things.
Yeah, it's in a rebuild mode. I mean, second year of a coach, and they split their opening series 2-2. That was nice that they rallied to win the last 2 of that. You know, this time of year in baseball, they just got to get better because they can actually play outside by going south. I don't think it's great. I mean, football kind of maybe tinted the windows on that, so it obscured the other things going on. Volleyball's a mess.
Yeah, I guess I did forget about volleyball.
At least a new arena's coming. Like, if something's bad, at least you can look and say, well, there's going to be these improvements. Like, you know, a new arena, new practice facility.
Women's tennis, I'm just going to be blunt. I don't understand why Kansas State has a women's tennis program. I just don't get it. It's just kind of a standalone thing. It's almost like, hey, we need this to have enough sports, and for Title IX, you guys go sit in the corner and do whatever you can do.
That's what it is, honestly.
They've actually done better the last
They
few
have
years,
done
though.
better. They lost a coach, and they've got,
it's a Title IX balancer sport.
It's also a sport where Kansas kids aren't playing it very often. It's almost, the roster's almost exclusively foreign athletes, and I don't mind that for supplementing a roster, but when that's your whole roster, for a land-grant institution, that just seems weird to me. Go play a sport that, like softball, where kids at home can play. You know, that you'll be recruiting Kansas kids to your school.
Why they don't have softball is beyond me.
But tennis is cheap.
Tennis is cheap.
Cheap.
And someone, a donor, has graciously put money into it. Speaking of which, we need more donors to put money into golf. Got a great golf course to practice on. I don't understand why the golf programs don't rock.
Usually they get one elite golfer every cycle. One guy that's going to go on to NCAA by himself, but the team doesn't really make much of a push.
I don't understand it, man. I mean, they just don't have the type of, like, training facilities. I mean, they've added that indoor thing, I don't know. But
I don't look at any program at K-State, even volleyball, and say it's like KU football, where it's been horrible for 10 years and there's no even a small silver lining. Like Zach said, at least volleyball, the new facility being built, they'll have a new coach soon. Hopefully you can get some momentum going. It could always be worse.
I'm just really disappointed in volleyball. I'm a volleyball guy. 100 pounds ago, 3 knee surgeries and 1 shoulder surgery. That was my sport. I love it. I love watching it. I wish it's a sport in which K-State should be able to compete. There's enough players in the region, Midwest teams or non-coastal teams are, doing very well in it. It used to just be about if you were in California or Florida, you were going to be in the Final Four, but Nebraska gets there, Penn State gets there. I think Minnesota was there. It's a conglomerate, I think it was Minnesota, of different programs. The Big Ten's good in it. If the Big Ten can be good in it, why not Kansas State too? That new facility better get things going, and I hope it does. And I'm looking forward to winning the lottery, so it's named after me.
That's what you'd do with your money?
Part of it, yeah.
Okay.
The Tim Fitzgerald Volleyball Arena.
The Fitz.
Colbert would be called Riley Hills.
I'd build a new golf course because hot take, I don't think Colbert Hills is a very good facility for practicing golf.
No, I would agree with that. I think it's a good competition course.
But I think from as far as playing that every day and expecting to get good, it doesn't play like any other course that the guys play.
Yeah,
I agree.
And it's up on a hill. It's windy. It's 40 miles an hour winds in the wind gusts in the spring. It's terrible. I hate playing there.
Wow.
Make Wildcat Creek the official course of K-State golf.
Wow, Zach just dropped the hammer on Colbert Hills.
Build a new one.
Pitching wedge putter the whole course.
From KSU number 1, based on Ross's quarterback review of Skyler, do you see Skyler taking those steps necessary to being a top 10 quarterback?
Look.
Let's just say this. I didn't get a chance to read it yet. I was going to get to that today, and somehow it got completely deleted from the system, and it's not recoverable.
Ross may or may not have accidentally edited the story to rewrite another position breakdown, and we have no way to get that back. So I apologize if you were unable to read that story, and it is not in a Word document anywhere. Anyways, look, here's the thing with Skyler. I love Skyler, and he's fun to watch, and he makes big plays. But how long have we been saying going into seasons now? How long has Skyler been in the program where we've all sat here and said, this is the year Skyler, we'll see him take that step forward. That was supposed to be this year, man. He got in the Kleiman system, right? And he had Colin Klein coaching him. And Skyler was supposed to, now with Alex Delton off of his back, Skyler was supposed to make a dramatic leap forward. And he didn't. At this point, until he proves me wrong, Skyler Thompson is what he is. He's not a bad quarterback. I certainly think he's what K-State needs on the field next year in terms of what they have at the position. But he's not going to be an elite quarterback, and he's certainly not going to be a top 10 quarterback in the country. That's a very high bar to set. He's not going to compete with Trevor Lawrence.
Until he breaks, they're not habits, they're reflexes. He does things as a reflex. He flees the pocket to the right, around the tackle. It's a horrible, horrible habit for a quarterback to have. I can't believe his offensive linemen haven't chewed him out. When he steps up in the pocket, when he runs up the middle, he's effective. When he tries to run towards the sideline, rarely does that work out because he doesn't keep his head up often enough to get that done.
Once upon a time, Skyler Thompson rolled to his right and found Isaiah Zuber in the end zone for a game-winning touchdown against Iowa State. And now suddenly, Skyler Thompson thinks rolling to his right is what he needs to do every single play.
Yeah, even on that play, they went to his left, and then he came back, and he kept his head up. That play should serve as scouting video for Skyler himself on what to do. If you're going to roll, don't tuck and run. Put your head down. You got to keep your eyes up or throw the ball away. Quit running out of bounds for a loss.
Drives me insane.
Until he breaks these reflexes, I can't put him in any kind of upper echelon of quarterbacks in the conference, certainly included. Man, I got to get through this.
I think he'll be a little bit better next year, but I don't think he'll be any better than 6th or 7th in passing average in the conference, and K-State's passing offense will be bad, and this is what it'll be. I mean, you just got to get through this year, and then you look towards Howard and Rubley.
Mm-hmm. From KS Rocks, Skyler throws a good deep ball, but it seems that they went away from that, and teams loaded the box without the fear we would go deep. Do you think we will start utilizing deeper throws to keep the defense honest?
I think they could use some more. I think they had a lot of success when they did at times. Obviously threw one in the Liberty Bowl in that opening drive and a blatant drop pass that still drives me insane. Mm-hmm. Thank you, Phillip Brooks. And it's tough to be mad at him. He returned a punt later, so it kind of cancels out. When they throw down the field, I think they can get some big plays at times, and I think they can get receivers open at times if Skyler looks at those open receivers. But they're never going to become the team that does it 5, 6, 7, 8 times a game. They might do it 2 or 3, and that's what they should do. This offense is not going to chuck it 40 yards down the field multiple times in a game. It's just not what it's built around, and if they turn into that, then they lose the effectiveness of this offense. And frankly, I don't think you need to go with the times on that. Whatever happened to a nice little 6-yard route over the middle on 1st and 10 or on 2nd and 7, and you're a little bit closer? Why you got to take a shot all the time? Why does everybody want to do that? I don't get that.
And once Malik Knowles was injured, slowed down, you have to have a guy that can get behind the defense consistently. I mean, they don't have Tyreek Hill on this team that can just outrun everyone. I didn't mind the offense. Look, no offense is going to perform well if the receivers drop the ball. And we've seen that in waves this season when they need to, start Liberty Bowl is a perfect example. And a couple drops, an underthrown pass, and it derailed almost the whole entire game. And if they start with a touchdown real quick, the whole context of the game changes. So what I'm saying is they just need to be more efficient as an offense. And if they're more efficient throwing the ball underneath, then the deeper routes will open up. If they're more efficient running the ball, the deeper routes will open up. One leads to another. You just don't say, hey, nothing's working, let's throw it deep. Well, if nothing's working, why do they have to honor anything in front of them? Year 2 of this program, offensively and defensively, hopefully we'll see improvements and a better understanding of what they're trying to do.
From PowerCat Ryan, what do you expect out of the new offensive line this season? Is there a freshman, redshirt or true, that could crack the lineup?
Oh, Cooper
Did you say red short?
Red shirt?
I think you said red short.
Red short should be something.
Like I kind of had a hiccup in there, so maybe
Interesting.
maybe I said
Cooper
red shirt.
Beebe was going to be it.
I think he'll start.
He'll start. He'll be a foundation type player. Now, what position he'll be at, we don't know because he's a guy that can. He's Cody Whitehair. He can be a guard. He can be a tackle. Hell, he could probably play center at his.
Hell, he was a defensive lineman. I mean, like.
I know. So we don't know where he's going to be, but yeah, he'll be a foundation type guy.
I think the offense, like we sit here and look on the surface when you say they lost 5 starters, that's horrible to hear. You hate that. But if you want to look at it glass half full, were the 5 starters amazing last year? I mean, they were fine at times, but I don't think that they did anything that a new line can't figure out. There's going to be growing pains, and they're not going to be the best offensive line. I don't know how PFF graded them so high this year. I don't understand PFF.
It really, that was ridiculous.
I don't get it. That there's something to their formula that I don't comprehend, I guess. But I think the offensive line can be effective enough. If they get those immediate look, there's no reason that a guy like a Cooper Beebe, for example, shouldn't be able to figure out how to play. I mean, he's been here for a year. He kind of got it figured out in terms of practice, and he has his year under his belt. I think Del Forge will start, and he's a junior college guy. I know junior college isn't D1, but in the words of Chris Klieman, football is football. So I think they've got the talent to be an all right offensive line, and that's probably all you really need. You don't need to be elite. Just be fine. Give Skylar time. Create some holes. I'm not as pessimistic about the offensive line as some people might be. Am I concerned? Sure. But I'm not pessimistic.
Well put. I feel the exact same way.
From Fervent Purple, it seems that ESPN is sleeping on Chris Klieman and the team in their FPI rankings, coming off a first-year season that honestly couldn't have gone too much better, and they are still going to slot us at 9th in the conference. Is ESPN mostly correct, or is this going to be just another regular year in the rich annual K-State tradition of vastly outperforming projections from the media?
Look, one thing people need to understand about FPI is it's not a media poll. Nobody voted K-State 9th. Now, again, it goes back to kind of what the PFF thing. It's a formula that I don't comprehend. I don't get how FPI can rank that team 9th of all the teams in the Big 12. I don't get how Texas can be 7th going into next year. But that's kind of the situation you're in. FPI changes drastically, so drastically. So I wouldn't be freaking out about being 9th in the FPI and being 50th overall in the country. Now, I think that the formula probably should have made it higher. I don't understand how a team can win 8 games and have significant players coming back and the formula spits out 50th. I was anticipating maybe a low 40, but it is what it is. I also wouldn't be concerned with FPI rankings in February.
Who gives a flying crap?
Well, we did. We wrote a story about it.
But that's the only reason you do is it's nonsense. It was so stupid you wrote about it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's idiotic. It's a computer formula. Some human being has to put in the initial numbers that gives a basis for the formula to run on. It doesn't translate to how games come out.
Get mad when the media poll comes out, and if they're ninth there, then you can be a little upset.
Yeah. Then people who put their eyeballs on Chris Klieman's program think that the first year, when has a first year of a coaching staff been an aberration? I mean, I guess it happens. I guess you inherit players, but in football, that's really tough to do, to switch systems and just because you had a bunch of dudes.
Well, he inherited players that went 5-7.
Exactly. I don't understand.
Scott Frost.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, well, so be it. Let them doubt. That's the K-State way. Have that chip on your shoulder.
Last question of the podcast from PowerCat Ryan. How much of a disadvantage is it that K-State's junior day is after other local schools that are recruiting a lot of the same talent? Could it be spun into a positive that some campers were waiting to see K-State's camp and be a prisoner of the moment?
I've never been one to buy into this theory in recruiting that, this kid is taking his visit to K-State last. It'll leave the biggest impression on him. That's everybody wanted to do it with Kevin McCullough a couple of years back in basketball, and that didn't matter. Same thing with Nick Blake, who went to UNLV. Somebody has to be first, and somebody has to be last.
Every kid's different. Maybe it's a kid that will see something he loves on the first visit, and nothing will ever match up because it was all new and shiny and fun, and nothing will be that way this again because he's already experienced that. Or maybe he'll just wait for that last visit, and it'll all register then that I have to make up my mind. Every kid's different. And you just schedule your junior day when you schedule it, whatever works in your schedule. And if kids want to come to Kansas State, they'll come. Maybe being last helps. Maybe being last hurts because you lose some kids along the way who say, I already fell in love with Nebraska. I want to go be mediocre and wear red.
I don't want a kid to be a prisoner of the moment in Manhattan and commit at junior day. I don't want that to happen because I want a kid to actually think about, is K-State the best fit for me? Weigh your options. And, if you commit there on the spot, just because you're caught up in the moment, I think that kind of sets off some alarm bells, to be honest. So I would stop reading into things like that. I get it, but I don't think it's worth it in anything.
Let me clarify something with you as we wrap up this sterling edition of the PowerCat Questions podcast. You do not want kids to be prisoner of the moment. Are you in favor of kids being prisoner at any time?
No.
You don't?
I want that on the record.
You don't believe in children jails?
I want that on the record cleared up right now. I do not believe children should be imprisoned. Is that?
What are you in for? Well, I stole a toy at daycare and I'm doing 5 to 10.
Not a fan of Chitty Chitty Bang Bang?
Well, Dick Van Dyke singing is always a lovely thing. And that was a great way to finish this podcast with a complete boomer reference.
You've been listening to the PowerCat Questions podcast, presented by Fridge Wholesale Liquor. PowerCat Podcast. All rights reserved. GoPowerCat.com and Spirit Street Publishing.
Call It What You Want is a brand new podcast part of the CBS Sports Golazo Network, covering every angle of the United States men's national team. I'm Jimmy Conrad, and I'll be joining Jesse Marsh and Charlie Davies every week for a passionate, informed, and unapologetic conversation about all things U.S. men's national team, like tactics, American players home and abroad, match previews and recaps, interviews, and more. As our boys get set to compete for hardware in the CONCACAF Nations League Finals, the Olympics, and the Copa America in 2024, Call It What You Want will be along for the ride to provide expert analysis and unfiltered opinions, so fasten your seatbelts. And don't forget to download and follow on the Odyssey app or wherever you get your podcasts.